Okay, so we're going to take an audience question. There's a question from Rahul Chaturvedi. Rahul asks, my question is, at what stage do you get involved in a project? You meaning you, as Prashant Shah. Concept, first draft, or once some production funds are in place?
Mainly, I get involved. I mean, once the production funds are in place, because concepts and those are very personal to somebody who is making that project. So, like, I made a project and I was very passionate about storytelling, and so I drove that concept to my script directors and my writers, and whether they're from US and India, and put the team together. Then went to the funding part of it and saying, okay, now I have A, B, C, D done. I need EFG, and that's when that funding always comes in when you have something in place. It's like no bank is going to give you a loan until you have identified the property. So funding part is very crucial, but it's also important to go to the funding when you have few things put together. And I come into play to the question that I need to answer is that my role is mainly when the funding is secured or funding is in place.
At this point, I want to open up the microphones to our attendees. Anand has a question. Anand, instead of reading your question, I'll let you ask yourself. Please go ahead.
Hi, Prashant. Anand Rao here. So my question is connected to TV series, making mini series for the OTT platform. I hope you would have an answer to this. There appears to be a difference in the standard of content accepted by Netflix US and Netflix India. When we as Indian Americans living here in the US create a series for an OTT platform, we write stories from an Indian story set in India, and possibly be shot in India as well. Why can't Netflix USA take it up as an original as opposed to passing it on to Netflix India?
I think the prime reason why they do that, and I'm again not doing a guessing game, but to the best of my knowledge, because the territory where you're doing the production, the funding, and the cost, and the bare bone structure is in that part of the world, so they would want that production entity to look after the entire project. It's no different than saying that you have a company called Anand Rao Incorporated in US, and you have Anand Rao Corporation in Chennai, let's say, and you're shooting in India. Obviously, you want to run everything under that umbrella of Chennai or India, because all the P&A cost, all the publicity cost, all the production cost, accountability wise, it's easier for that entity to manage the funds and to disperse the monies, as opposed to for every now and then you have to call US, hey, Baisa, can you clear the check of the catering guy? Can you pay the DOP, or can you pay the local expenses? So it is always natural for the company to give to wherever you're filming, primarily to that division or that entity of the same umbrella to look after the project. Like even Delhi Crimes, it was produced out of India, it's still produced out of India.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Anand. Next is Sheetal. I think Sheetal has a question.
Hi. Hi. So my question is, when you're investing in a project as a producer, what do you look at? Like, do you look at the story as a whole? Do you look at the actors who are acting in it? Or do you look at the project, like what the project is about? Because, you cannot just go out there and invest in anything. You have to look at some specs. So what is the selling point for you?
Well, the most important is the script. I mean, it's that's the first thing anybody looks at, not only me, but even if you give it to an actor, first thing is he or she will read how important the script, how well the story is being told. So script is
Okay.
the first blueprint that gets mentally uh, acquired into a producer, an actor, or talent, that yes, I want to be part of this project. I want to do this project because it is a kick-ass. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. Nobody has done it, and that is where the first yes mentally preparedness comes from. And then after that, who else is attached to this? Whether there's an actor attached to it. So if somebody comes to me and says, hey, PS, I've got a script and I have XYZ name already attached to it, and so wants to direct it, and I've already spoken to them. And there will be times where I may say, I don't think I want this person as a director. I don't think I want this person as an actor if I am producing it. I mean, it's very recently, it's happening right now at one of my projects where I'm denying for that actor to be part of that. And the choice is whether I continue or they continue. So the, the difference is not about what I think is correct, but what the project needs and what the project authenticity is. That's how we decide.
We have another question from Uday. Uday, do you want to unmute yourself and ask, or?
Sure, I'll do that. Hi, Prashant. This is Uday here. I've sent you a couple of emails, I guess, ever since I read an article about you. Anyway, my question is, what are some of the common mistakes you see aspiring writers or actors do in the early stages of their career? Also, common mistakes to avoid in pitching. Yeah.
I mean, the most common mistake I've seen, especially with writers, is they have the first act, but the second and the third act is missing from storytelling. Or they have somewhat decent first act, but they do not have it somewhere. It does not connect the entire storytelling. So what happens is, especially with the writers, they get so much focused into what they want to write about a character, about a story. And then during that writing process, maybe due to whatever personal reasons, or they get drifted away, or they get influenced by watching something, say, oh, I should put this in my story. And now all of a sudden they get influenced and they start diverting. And I've learned from some of the best script writers from LA and also from India that if they are writing on something, they will not watch any other content until they're done. So, I mean, I know some very good script writers that I worked with who are big directors in India or even in the US. And if I tell them, hey, here's a great DVD, just check this out. It's a superb film. And they'll tell me, boss, I'm writing a project right now. I don't even look at anything because I don't want any influence. I have no desire to influence me and shift my focus. And I think it's very imperative for a writer to stay focused and stay very current to the topic, whatever that topic they're writing on, and have all the facts and figures, whether it's a true story or whether it is a fictional or it's based on a fictional true story, fictionalizing it. So it's very important how you connect the dots, because at the end, everybody is, I mean, today, even a 5-year-old kid is so smart and intelligent when they're watching content. In 2 minutes, they know whether they're going to continue watching this or they'll flip the remote or they'll just swipe the screen.
Sorry, I was going to ask anything specific for actors.
Actors, I mean, I would say don't try and be selective. Take whatever you get, do it, go for it. And whether it's a small role, whether it's a cameo role, or whatever it may be. I mean, it's not that written that I want to be a hero, I want to be this, I want to be that. I mean, you have to start somewhere. So it's easy to, take up whatever comes your way.
Tell us about Prashant Shah, the actor. I heard that you were actually, venturing in that direction also. Do you want to tell us about that?
I was not venturing. When the budgets are low, then they don't find anybody and then tell me, "Arey, aap kar lo ye role." I'm kidding. I mean, I have, of course, being on stage. That's, as I told you during my opening conversation, that I've been on stage and I've been on camera and I've performed and so forth. But I don't go out looking for roles. I mean, if I get called and say, okay, here, we would like you to play this role. I mean, I was shooting a movie with Raj and DK called Gentleman with Siddharth Malhotra, and Raj came up to me and said, there's one role that I want you to play. I said, why? He said, because you'll make it good. I said, okay, bula lete yaar kisi actor ko yahan se. No, I want you to do it. I mean, I could have told him, boss, I'm an EP on this film. Why the hell do you want me to do a role? And I said, what is the role? He said, I'll tell you tomorrow. I said, fine, whatever. I did not even know until the camera started rolling what role I was playing. And I said, theek hai, hot dog vendor hai. Theek hai, I'll do hot dog बेचेंगे और क्या पैसे के लिए कुछ भी करते हैं.
I wanted to ask you about Jungle Cry. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Jungle Cry? He's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, so Jungle Cry is our home production, and it's based on a true story that came to me, and that's some of you have asked this question, what do I look for and so forth. So it was based on a true story about a gentleman who loses his father at age 4 and becomes an orphan, and he has 6 sisters. He's the only boy, and he educates himself, becomes a chemical engineer. Today, he has close to 57,000 children, out of which 30,000 children are orphans and tribal and underprivileged kids. He provides education, meals, housing, books, and healthcare to all these children under one roof, one umbrella in Odisha, not even in any big metropolitan city or so forth. So I was very driven and influenced by this character and by the story. And then, of course, there's a part of it where uh, the sports coach who gets hired by the institution and has to make a football team because they have school, but they don't have any sports team. So Abhay Dil plays that coach, and he identifies, handpicks these kids from the villages that where the kids don't want to study. All they want to do is play, and their parents cannot afford to send them to school. And if they go to school, then who will do the chores in the house, and who will cook, and who will clean, and who will do the dishes? Meaning, and they live in slums type of housing. So Abhay has to pick up these kids, and he trains them into football until a British gentleman who works for the British Embassy in Calcutta happens to travel to Odisha to see these kids, and he sees these dirt playing foot without any footwear, the dirt soccer the kids are playing, and he goes to Dr. Samantha, who's the founder of the organization, and tells him that, I see something unique in these kids, and I want to train them in a sport that India does not play. And I want to take them for a World Cup competition. And of course, Abhay is not too happy because he's training them for soccer, football. And here's an Englishman who has just showed up and saying that I want to take these kids and train them into rugby and take them to UK to play the World Cup. Against all odds, they all work together collectively, train the kids, take them to England, and the kids have to play against 5 different countries, and they end up winning the World Cup based on a true story, and nobody knows about this. It's the same year in 2007 when India won T20 World Cup in the same week. So in the glory of cricket, these kids got lost in media. So coming back to media picks what is popular and they talk about it, but they never talked about these tribal orphan kids that they won the World Cup in England against South Africa. So meanwhile, India had won the World Cup T20 cricket in South Africa that year. Dhoni, that made him the big name. So that story was very important for me because it connects education, it connects sports, it connects humanity. And to make that film, not a documentary because I'm not a documentary filmmaker, so I made a commercial film. And of course, for that, we needed somebody who is a good actor. And not that anybody's a bad actor, but somebody who can carry and play that serious role. And Abhay was the right match.
Lovely story, and I'm surprised that we didn't hear about it. But that's what happens with women and kabaddi, and there are several other sports that Indians excel at, but we are so fixated with cricket that we can't see beyond cricket. Yeah. It's been a lovely 1 hour. I just wanted to, as a closing, I wanted to ask you to please tell our viewers what is your single piece of advice to aspiring filmmakers. What should they be looking to do if they want to start in this industry? They've got no experience and they're just starting out. What advice would you give them?
I mean, first and foremost advice would be, don't think from your head, think from your heart, because although the heart is on the left, it's always right. So if that's something that you want to do, follow that passion, and don't look at what money you're making or how you're getting there or what will it take. It can take years or it can take 2 days, and it's just a matter of time and destiny. But if you're focused and you're after it, you'll get it. I mean, there is no two ways about it. And in terms of trying to reach out and find your producer or production house or a studio to back you, I mean, today, given so many platforms are available as compared to when I started 20 years ago, we didn't have anything except theaters. And television was like, who makes for television unless you make TV series? But today there are so many platforms available, so many, I mean, Netflix and Amazon are just one of the dozen of OTT platforms out there. So just follow your dream. And, if you have a great story, there's always a listener. There's always somebody who wants to look at a great script. So, and of course, everybody in their heart, in their mind, that whatever script they have, whatever story they have is the best. But there has to be a USP, a unique selling proposition to that script. And what is that USP is something that you have to identify. And once you get into writing or creating your own content, like I've said before, try and stay focused into your content and not somebody else's content, because then you get deviated. And today, of course, we have a lot of time to watch content, but try and stay focused in your storytelling, what your passion is. And it doesn't matter. Entertainment, it has no language. So,
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Yeah, subtitle has made it easier.
Exactly. Before we leave for the evening, I want to thank Haider Bilgrami for making this meeting possible, for Haider Bilgrami to, get Mr. Shah to attend this event. But again, thank you, Mr. Shah. Thank you for taking out the time to speak with us and, show us what filmmaking and production is all about. We are very grateful to you. I think with that said, we will take your leave now. Thank you so much. It was a lovely evening, and it was lovely chatting with you and learning so much from you.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
so much.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Yeah.